Now, what do you think? Is this a good criticism? Do you have any way to respond to it? At any point when I'm putting forward these arguments, putting forward and explaining these criticisms, you don't have to buy them, you don't have to buy the original argument, you don't have to buy any criticism of that original argument. You get to decide for yourself. That's the joy of philosophy. So I just like to pause at every point and ask, well, what do you think? And you should answer for yourself. Fortunately, I won't be able to hear you, so you can shout louder, but nothing you can do will help. All right, let's turn to the second aspect of evaluating this argument structure. How relevant are the similarities? Because it's definitely true that there are some similarities, right? Both a watch and natural stuff is complex, ordered, and functional. The important question is whether that's relevant to the conclusion that we're drawing. The conclusion here being whether natural stuff is intelligently designed or not. So are the similarities between a watch and the universe relevant to the issue of intelligent design? What do you think? It seems to be, right? They definitely both seem to be complex, ordered, and functional. And our starting hypothesis is that means that they look designed. Anything that looked designed probably is designed. So it seems like that is relevant evidence to draw the conclusion that natural stuff is being designed. So note, before we move on, that Hume would say relevance in this situation really doesn't matter. Yes, it's true that they are relevantly similar, but because their general differences are so vast, they are so, in general, dissimilar, any comparison you make between the two is really worthless. You're not going to be able to conclude anything. So Hume, while he might grant that there are some relevant similarities, is just going to point out that it's such a weak analogy to begin with. And this really is the main worry of this argument by analogy version of the design argument. Is this analogy really too weak? Can we conclude much, if anything at all, comparing human-made stuff to natural stuff? So really think about that before we move to the next version of this design argument. What do you think about this analogy? Is this a worthwhile analogy to draw? Have we learned anything? Can we be confident in anything we conclude in a comparison like this? All right, let's turn to the inductive version. This is a version that takes a little bit of a sample size, a bunch of examples, and then draws a generalization based on those examples. In this case, we're talking about human-made objects. Everything that's complex, ordered, and functional that's made by humans is also intelligently designed. Therefore, our conclusion, it's most likely that everything that's complex, ordered, and functional, even natural objects like eyes and aardvarks and ecosystems, are intelligently designed as well. So, what do you think? Is this a good argument? The way we evaluate inductive arguments, if you remember from last lecture, we want to see whether each premise is true. We want to see whether the sample is big enough. We want to see whether the sample is representative. Let's take a look at our first premise first. All complex, ordered, and functional human-made objects are intelligently designed. True, false, or questionable? What do you think? That one seems obviously true, true almost by definition. If it's something made by humans, humans are intelligent people, so that's intelligently designed. So the structure seems to be the place where we should really focus most of our evaluative attention. What do you think? Does that premise provide us with good enough evidence for that conclusion? Well, do we have enough examples? Is our sample big enough? To answer that question, we're going to have to compare the sample to the conclusion, to the overall population that sample is supposed to represent. So let's try to figure out what the sample is, and then figure out what the overall population is it's trying to represent. It seems like our sample here and our premises is everything that's human-made, all complex, ordered, and functional human-made objects. And so how many human-made objects are there? Well, there's a ton of them. There's like every computer, every cell phone, every desk and table, every article of clothing, every pair of sunglasses, every pen and pencil, every folder. I'm just listing some things that I'm randomly seeing in my room. Every building, every roadway. All this stuff is made by humans. All this stuff is complex, ordered, and functional. So that's a pretty big sample size. If we had to put a number on it, we're probably talking about more than trillions, right? And that's millions of millions, so we're talking about a lot. Well now, what's the overall population that sample represents? Well, according to the conclusion, we're drawing a conclusion about absolutely everything in the world that's complex, ordered, and functional. Not just human-made stuff, but all complex, ordered, and functional stuff. And, well, how much is that? Well, that's way, way bigger. That's a huge amount. Think about every single beetle and ant and aardvark and rose and plant and every single molecule, every single molecular bond, every single planet and star seems intricate, complex, ordered, and functional. And there are just tons of those. There are just millions of species of even particular animals. So there are millions of subspecies. So that's a lot. And here Hume worries that our sample is actually too small. That is proportionate to the overall population that it represents. Hume thinks, even though we have lots of examples of houses and cell phones and watches and the like, that's not nearly enough to draw a strong conclusion about everything in our universe. This is his second criticism, what's called criticism A2 in our book. If you see page 343 towards the bottom there, he says, the great disproportion between human-made stuff and the universe bars all comparison and inference. So he's really worried that we just have not been given nearly enough evidence to form such a strong conclusion about the entirety of the world, the universe in its entirety. And notice, it isn't just the world like planet Earth. When I'm using the phrase the world, I'm referring to the entire universe. Our planet, Earth, is just one planet in a solar system, which is itself part of a galaxy, itself of where there are trillions upon trillions of galaxies that make up the entirety of the universe. So we're talking about how small a sample we have. Just think about our experience. We experience the tiniest of tiny corners of our solar system, which is the tiniest of tiny corners of our galaxy, which is the tiniest of tiny corners of our universe. We experience so little of the universe. How are you going to draw such a sweeping conclusion about how all this complexity, order, and functionality, way beyond what we experience, arises? He offers an analogy to two types of analogies, this hair analogy and this leaf analogy. He wonders about how much you can learn about how humans grow just by looking at a single human hair and how it grows. It's not clear you can learn much at all because that hair represents such a tiny part of human growth that it's not clear you can learn much, if anything, about how humans in general grow. Same with leaves and trees. How much can you tell about the vegetation of a tree just by looking at how a leaf that's just sort of sitting there on a grassy knoll, how it blows around? Just by looking at how the leaf blows around, that doesn't tell you almost anything about the vegetation of a tree. So Hume is saying we just have insufficient amount of information to go on here. Our sample is way too small. What do you think? Is that a good criticism? Our second criticism from Hume? All right, moving on to our second aspect of evaluating this inductive argument's structure. Is our sample representative? Are human-made objects representative of absolutely all complex, ordered, and functional stuff? What do you think? Well, Hume says no, and this is his third criticism. If you go to page 344, this is criticism A3, excerpt A3. He says that the universe is unique. It is sui generis. It is single, individual, without parallel. There is nothing you can point to adequately represent the universe in its entirety. No single part of the universe can you point to and say, this is a good representation of the universe.